Hello everyone, I'm Dinushi and I'm here to present my action research findings on enhancing the understanding of concepts and the reading ability of four-digit numbers through multi-level teaching strategies for slow learning students in grade 4. So these would be the content of the presentation. So when it comes to the background, as an experienced teacher more than 8 years in primary grades, I thought of upgrading myself with this professional qualification. And even though I conducted this actual research to enhance my professional skills, actually it helped me to upgrade my way of teaching. So I thought mathematics as the subject area of this research, because I believe early numerical literacy is a must for child professional and academic achievements. So when it comes to the problem identification, I first conducted the relevant lesson under numbers under the following competency levels. So the core competency was recognizing and using numbers, reading, writing and placing values up to 9,999. So under that I selected the competency level as reading any number and names up to 9,999. So when I conducted the lesson, I actually found 4 students, those who couldn't reach the expected learning outcome through my direct observation. So just to ensure my observation, I conducted an assessment. So these are the findings of the assessment. So as you can see, as per the observation, there were 4 slow learning students and they obtained between 20% to 50% in their assessment. So I thought of doing some activity in order to rectify this issue. So depending on this assessment, I developed my research objectives. There are 4 objectives in my research. So first one was to identify the reasons for experiencing poor reading ability in reading 4-digit numbers. And second one was to plan and implement suitable interventions for improving reading ability of thousands using the multi-level approach. Third one was to evaluate the effectiveness of the implemented interventions. And the fourth one, actually it was for me to develop my teaching skills and upgrade my current teaching strategies. So accordingly, I developed the methodology as follows. So the sample basically included 4 students, those who were slow learning students out of 16 students, and the data collection methods were primarily the classroom observation, test, informal interviews and the reflective journal. And when it comes to the secondary data sources, I use students' essential learning competency records as well as student profile journal. In classroom terminology, we call it as Shishya Pathikada. So in order to ensure whether these students are really slow learners at their previous stages. So it was not a surprise, actually they were slow learning kids from the beginning at their initial key stages as well. So I basically followed the spiral model invented by Kurt Lewins, which includes 4 steps: planning, acting, observing and reflecting. So I followed all 3 principles in the MLT learning approach, that is scaling down the curriculum, structuring the curriculum and concerning the dynamic groups. So depending on this, I subdivided the selected competency into 3 sub levels. First one was to reading numbers 1000 to 9000, like 1000, 2000 and 3000, so forth. And then reading up to 9999, and final one was to read real world examples that include numbers in thousands. So each of these interventions were developed according to the assessment and reflections taken place after each and every implementation. So basically I planned these interventions depending on the differentiated instruction methods, which include stories, songs, games, outdoor activities and so forth. So after each and every intervention, I developed assessment activities so as to ensure whether they have reached the specific intervention targets. So these are the key highlights of my first intervention. So the key intervention one was to read numbers up to 1000 to 9000, that is 1000 by 1000. For an example, 1000, 2000, 3000 likewise. So at the introductory phase, I gave the opportunity to students to form a number line, including flash cards. So I placed them on the floor, and when I called out a number, the students were asked to hop and land onto a specific number, and they were calling out the number loudly. So as the second activity, I made them wear a garland including flashcards, and they were like singing, I am 1000, who are you? So likewise it continues until up to 9000. And then under the practice approach, I used number puzzles and number range treasure hunt, where it was an outdoor activity. I placed several different numbers at the play area. Then once they found the number, they were reading out the number aloud. So as per the reflection, I was able to identify two groups. First, out of 4 students, 2 was highly dependent on my support, that is teacher support, and the 2 other friends, they were backing up each other. So I thought to put them as peer supported group. So however, I thought of continuing with the second intervention just to ensure whether they can understand the place value properly. So these are some key highlights of my intervention before and after results. So these were the activities that I gave, and the students while they are doing the activities. So when it comes to the second intervention, it was about read any number and names up to 9999. So at this stage, of course, I thought of incorporating games, so where I used number scavenger hunt game and a story with show and tell strategy. So under this number scavenger hunt, they were given clues with a checklist. So they had to find numbers and read them aloud. Under the story, actually I prepared flashcards with numbers, and I gave them, whenever I'm narrating the story, they were asked to raise the number and say it aloud. And under the practice stage, I used manipulatives like base 10 blocks, explorations, and place value chart. So when it comes to this point, students, they were given the chance to understand the ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. So at this point, I was really happy because all the students were able to understand the place value and read out the numbers independently without my support. So at the reflection, what I can highlight is that they were really confident and showed more interest in reading and finding and reading out these numbers aloud. And here, of course, I used differentiated instruction strategies. And however, I decided to continue with the third intervention as well, just to ensure they could read any number at any given context at any time. So that was my intention behind. So these are some key highlights of the second intervention. So during the first intervention, there were 2 teacher supported students and 2 peer supported students. But after the second intervention, there were none. All the 4 students, they were independent learners. And these are the activities that I conducted during the second intervention. When it comes to the third intervention, it was about reading real world examples containing numbers in thousands. So there at the introductory stage, I gave them the opportunity to have number guessing game and acting number charades, where they were given the opportunity to act out a number. So basically I gave them 4 colors to differentiate place value. If it is 10, it was red color. If it is ones, I gave them blue color, and if it is hundreds, I gave them yellow color, and for thousands, I gave a green color. So likewise, they were showing the color first, and they were acting out the number, where the other students tried to guess the number. At the practice stage, I actually had a number reading relay where I made them into 2 pairs, and they were asked to read out numbers aloud. So the pair that did it in a quick manner won the place. And as the second practice activity, I chose I asked them to become detectives where they just try to find out numbers in their surroundings. So I had placed few cartons, empty cartons of milk powder packets, even biscuit packets, newspapers, magazine, even their textbooks and so forth. So they tried to find 4-digit numbers and read them aloud, and I gave them the opportunity to record the number from my mobile phone. So they were really interested because they had the chance to use the mobile phone and record their own voice. And at the end of the activity, I gave them the chance to present it to their friends as well. So as per the reflection, what I understood, the students read numbers accurately and confidently, and they showed more motivation, more interest in finding a number, reading aloud the numbers, and the use of differentiated instruction strategy worked really well, and it was really effective, where the students learn the expected learning outcomes willingly. So these are some key highlights from the third intervention, and in order to ensure that they have reached this competency, I conducted an assessment where all 4 students scored more than 80%. So as you can see, they have scored between 80% to perfect 100, and these are their answer scripts. So apparently under the data analysis, you can clearly see before the first intervention they have scored below 50%, and after the third intervention they have scored between 80% to 100%, showing a significant improvement in reading the 4-digit numbers. And when it comes to the conclusion and recommendation, what I found was the poor skills that they have shown in reading the numbers was because they couldn't understand the place values clearly. So I could rectify this with my first 2 interventions. Once they've been given the chance to understand the place value, they began to read out the numbers properly. So the usage of visual aids and the songs, games and all made them to learn willingly, and it helped them to learn from the existing knowledge rather than making this an all alien concept to them. They learn willingly, and as a recommendation, I suggest the school to invest more on using attractive visual aids and incorporating interactive technology in teaching the primary grades. And also, through this research, what I understood was I should change myself first, especially the current practices that I am using to teach mathematical concepts like place value. So hereafter I will be using differentiated instruction methods, incorporating lots of games, visual aids and so forth to make the lesson more interesting. And I thought of conducting regular assessment to give them continuous feedback so as to develop themselves on the spot rather than letting them go without reaching the learning competencies. And all in all, in a nutshell, I believe since a person's formal development starts in primary grades, we should have a tailored teaching approach to make them included in the classroom education, so that we could reduce the risk of having dropouts in coming years. So those are the key highlights of my presentation, and I would like to acknowledge the department, especially Dr. Prabhat Ekanayaka and my supervisor Professor Vitarana and all the others who supported me in reaching this study successfully. And that's it. Thank you so much. Have a good day ahead.